If anyone has ever been in a Woolies store without a jacket, you know about it. And I want to ask you a little bit about the green sustainability line of thinking. Is that something you guys still pay a lot of attention to? Is sustainability a key factor?
The main issue was profitable sustainability, and that drove primary on the electricity side. A huge debating point for us internally. When you look back at it today, you can't think, why was it such a big issue to put fridge doors on, put a barrier between the customer and the product. And what that did to the electricity consumption was significant. The payback on those doors, I think, was less than a year. So I think on the elements that we can control, a huge focus, and that will remain so going forward. We've always been pushed to be market leading, specifically on some of those elements.
I think there's two companies in South Africa that can switch lights off from head office. It's you guys and Eskom, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a slightly different angle, and I think Woolies absolutely spearheads this. And I want to ask you a little bit about the green sustainability line of thinking. And if I think back, I remember when your Palmyra Junction store opened. It must be 10 years, 15 years ago. I'm not even sure how long ago. That was a long time ago. But that store had some pretty far out digital displays. I think we're saving a penguin every 30 seconds or something on that board. Is that something you guys still pay a lot of attention to? And the reason I ask from your perspective is obviously those are big fridges. You know, that's a big fridge store. If anyone has ever been in a Woolies store without a jacket, you know about it. And I just wanted to know, is that something that comes up in from a real estate perspective that you need to get involved in? Is sustainability a key factor? Taking it forward, I mean, how detailed does real estate play a role in that space?
Yeah, I think the sustainability is a big issue. We can come back to financial sustainability, which is a different topic slightly. But in the environmental sustainability, we're on the cold face of having to make it happen, other than the product side or the farming side. And that is mainly, just a quick side on the Palmyra example. Many years ago, we didn't have doors on fridges, and the stores were extremely cold. And we came up with a concept of taking the excessive heat from the refrigeration plant through a water loop. And there was about 7 kilometers of piping underneath the tile work in the store to heat the environment up. So now you've got open fridges spilling cold air, and you taking the plant's heat and you warming the water up to try and warm the environment up. But I mean, to be say, it's not a scalable kind of a concept. And we dabbled with many things. I think the main issue was profitable sustainability, and that drove primary on the electricity side. So it started off with change the refrigeration plant to variable control. Then we changed it to CO2 friendly gases, much more economical, doesn't consume as much energy at the time. A huge debating point for us internally. When you look back at it today, you can't think, why was it such a big issue to put fridge doors on, put a barrier between the customer and the product.
So
that was, on a frozen case, that wasn't an issue, but on the rest of the store, particularly some of our at that time, felt very uncomfortable. And we started to trial, and some stores we trialed, small stores we put all doors on, and then the very big stores, all the fresh units were left open and the rest got doors on. And what that did to the electricity consumption was significant. The payback on those doors, I think, was less than a year. And those doors are pricey. They're about 6,000-7,000 rand per door.
Yeah,
it's another long side story about this. A very nice history about those doors and the manufacturer around it. So I think that was our journey on electricity. Also in sustainability was measure what you consume. So we can control. We can see what each store consume. We can switch the lights off centrally from our offices in Cape Town across the country.
For every store?
Every store, you put the time limits on. So because the discipline is not always in stores to deal with those kind of issues. So you centralize it, measure it, and then also track the billing. So when the billing comes, there's something like 770 different electricity tariffs in the country. We've got a dedicated specialist that unpack the tariffs, change the tariffs for that environment and that location to be on the best tariff structure. So it's not only on the consumption, but it's also on what you pay. And the same gone for water. We've done a lot to measure water, but also of lately we had to provide a lot of backup water because the plant and the some of our plant and obviously our hot food kitchens and toilets can't operate without water, and we needed to put some redundancy in. So I think on the elements that we can control, a huge focus, and that will remain so going forward. It's a concept of, there was Simon Sussman, one of our previous leaders, was really about, he coined the phrase about, it's about fattening the brand. It's not if you have to do it, and you've got to be on top of that game and be market leading, so we've always been pushed to be market leading, specifically on some of those elements.
Yeah.
And the big one to come, which we haven't both on the previous point about collaboration, was on the power generation for shopping centres. How can a landlord assist in carrying the food anchors, because they consume so much power, and the solar power has never been enough to really assist the big.
In some cases, I mean, electricity and rentals can be quite comparable. That's how big those numbers are.
Big those numbers.
I think there's 2 companies in South Africa that can switch lights off from head office. It's you guys and Eskom. I think. But even if you have all these initiatives, we had a case at one of our shopping centres where, and I don't want to talk about the load shedding too much, but we had so many rolling blackouts, and even though we had full backup, tenants actually just said, "Listen, that's great that you got diesel. I can't afford the diesel." Yeah. Like it got to that point where, and I think from our perspective, we got to shift our minds from basic rental ops costs. Diesel, you almost need to, and we're starting to have these conversations more and more, which is actually cost of occupancy. What can a tenant afford against the margin? And if you truly apply your mind to that, then you possibly may have a lower vacancy rate as an investor, because things are slightly more sustainable. But it's no perfect science, because these systems they cost money, and there's, you got to try and work out a cost-effective way in funding these things. But it starts with cost of occupancy, really.
But it starts with your previous point to Leon about collaboration, because that's the financial sustainability. I think many of the landlords don't understand how the retailer make money, where the model breaks down, and to Leon's point about the customer you're chasing and what the disposable income is, and how do you match the infrastructure and what you charge and what you can charge and not charge, to maximize that opportunity. And I think where the worlds come together, where each party understand each other, those things work so much better, and it's more profitable in the long run for both parties.
Yeah, the real collaboration is really understanding the business models. And I guess when you've got stakeholders like yourselves that are running on the real estate decisions, and I guess we developer investors, we take the leasing side of the income side of the deal quite key, but I think it is driven by sustainability, and it allows our buildings to be full and continually relet these leases over time. That's the real value, which once again comes to the experience. When you don't have these massive vacancies, I think it all comes down to that.
But also to add, the barriers. We call it for us in our space, the hot topic is parking fees. Why do you penalize a customer for coming to your center?
We just can them at 4 hours. Done. One meeting.
But we've seen inexperienced asset managers who, when they pressured and have vacancies, they're trying to make it up with the parking tariffs. And that we can quickly see how that changed people's shopping behavior, particularly around food. And I'm not talking about convenience centers or in locations where everyone is used to pay for parking. But when you're the only one paying, charging for parking, and everyone else is free around you, how that change shopping behavior and drive customer behavior into the free parking environments in convenience centers out of the regional malls. So I think there's a symbiosis between truly understanding collaboration as to where does that model break down. When does all the food services and coffee offerings and restaurants take strain because you've got a mismatched parking tariff structure? And there's many examples I can quote, live 100%. Examples I can quote. For us, it's sad actually to see, because you can pick it up in the surrounding stores. All of a sudden, the store down the road is up double digits. This one is -5. Why? It wasn't never like that.
Just driving people away.
It's ultimately. Just driving people away. And as much as you raise it, and it drives a vicious circle, because you get to, then there's no product on the shelf, your availability goes down, and that even
Well,
drives
that's
the
thing I've
people to
realized.
somebody else.
As soon as turnovers are off and stores slide down, whatever magic scale you guys have, I don't quite understand your back system. But as soon as a store goes off the boil, to recover that space, because it's a double whammy, it's the customers that were going there come back and go, oh, well, this isn't quite the same experience, and it just slides the other way. And
so it's difficult to turn around.
Yeah, it's very, very tricky space.